The 6 o'clock news starts right now.
Investigators still on the scene of that deadly accident on the southwest side. We first told you about as late breaking news at 5 o'clock today. This happened in the 7,000 block of Old Pearsall Road a little before 4:30. We're working to get more information right now on exactly what happened here, but the San Antonio Fire Department has confirmed that 2 people were killed in this accident. We have a crew working to get more information right now.
The battle over voting rights in Texas winding up at the White House today. Texas lawmakers involved in that historic walkout in Austin met with its point person on voting rights, Vice President Kamala Harris.
The bill Republican supporters say would have safeguarded election integrity in Texas never made it to the governor's desk, but it could still come up during a yet-to-be-scheduled special session.
Jesse Degollado says that wasn't the only reason why those and other Democratic lawmakers went to Washington.
A quorum is apparently not present. The point of order is well taken and sustained.
The same Texas House Democrats who'd walked out derailing a bill they say would have suppressed the vote.
Let me begin today by saying thank you to all of you.
Met with Vice President Kamala Harris at the White House, along with some state senators.
You are courageous leaders, and you are American patriots.
The vice president praised their efforts to protect the constitutional right to vote.
We are not asking for the bestowal of a right. We are talking about the preservation of a right.
Later, outside the White House, a question about Senator John Cornyn having retweeted that they'd walked off their jobs that night got this response from Representative Senfronia Thompson of Houston.
We did not walk off our jobs. What we did was we walked out for the state, for the benefit of the people that we represent.
They also came to push for passage of 2 federal voting rights bills before Congress, especially one that would help prevent states like Texas from enacting any voting restrictions.
And this coalition is real, it's strong, it has resolve. The country is seeing this. This is a national issue. We know this is a now or never moment.
But as the vice president put it,
we know we have a great challenge in front of us and therefore a fight.
Jesse Degollado, KSAT 12 News.
The city of San Antonio could not only eliminate pandemic budget cuts next year, it could actually start adding funding to some areas. City staff presented a trial budget to council members today, which kicks off the annual budgeting process. Our Garrett Berger is live at City Hall to walk us through this. So Garrett, okay, it is a trial budget, but how firm is everything in this at this point?
Well, Myra, city staff tried to make clear that this is not the budget itself. To use the words of the city manager, it's the framing of the House, basically a starting point for this budget process so they know kind of where to begin. But the frame of this budget is expected to be bigger than it was expected before. Now, the city has seen record high sales tax collections in the past 2 months, and hotel occupancy tax fund revenues have been better than expected, too. Between that, better looking revenue projections and money from the American Rescue Plan Act that the city can use to make up for lost revenue, city staff say they can restore $37 million in planned cuts for next year. That would include bringing street maintenance funding back to the pre-pandemic levels, taking employee furlough days off the table, and partially repealing the city's civilian hiring freeze. There's enough to give civilian employees a pay increase, too, and arts funding could be restored to 2019 levels as well. Now, the trial budget also includes putting an additional $30 million towards other areas like housing and homeless programs, emergency response, and pedestrian safety, as well as the 311 call center, amongst others.
Last year, we did a trial budget largely to talk about how the reductions were going to look like. This year, it's the flip of that, where now we're talking about what type of investments we can make based on the council priorities. So we still have a lot of building to go, to use the analogy, but it's a different scenario, and it's in many respects, well, in all respects, really a better scenario.
The city has hundreds of millions of dollars more to spend in funds from ARPA over the next 5.5 years, but staff say that will happen later as the council decides how it wants to put that money to use. Now, council members had a variety of thoughts on this budget presentation as well, but they're really not going to get into their thoughts on how the budget should be structured until next week when they have a goal-setting session. Then we'll expect to see a fully fleshed out budget proposal in August. Live at City Hall, I'm Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
Thank you, Garrett. After a nearly year-long wait, a second murder suspect has been arrested in connection with the shooting death of 25-year-old Christopher Alderete. The second murder suspect arrested is identified as Venus Flores. The shooting happened last June. The first suspect, Fabian Hernandez, accused of shooting Alderete in the face and killing him on the scene. A woman also inside that vehicle was shot at while she ran away. Flores' connection to the shooting unknown at this time, but she is facing a first-degree murder charge.
We have an update on a crash at a Via bus stop that sent 2 people to a hospital. We first told you about this story yesterday at 5 o'clock. We now know 1 person involved here has died. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office has identified that person as 54-year-old Robert Nunez. San Antonio police say a pickup truck driver was headed to a clinic after being hurt, and on the way, police say that driver passed out. As a result, the pickup hit a pole and then crashed into the Via bus stop, pinning Nunez to a bench. Nunez was pronounced dead at the hospital this morning. The condition of the driver is unknown.
A man and woman taken to 2 different hospitals following an especially nasty-looking wreck in West Bexar County this morning. It happened around 8 along Texas Research Parkway. That's outside of Loop 1604. Deputies say the SUV and the pickup sideswiped each other. Both the woman and man suffering broken bones. She was taken to BAMC. He was taken to University. Traffic shut down for around 2 hours while crews worked and cleared the scene.
New at 6, medical professionals have one goal: to help the patient. A lot of times that includes tending to the patient's mental health. But what about taking care of themselves and their own mental health? A range of providers admitted to our Courtney Friedman that that's rare. So a federal bill was just passed in the hopes of changing that.
Burnout and stress is rampant in the medical field.
I think that almost everybody, every physician has been at least connected to someone who they've lost through physician suicide.
The pandemic really didn't give us any time to breathe.
Marianne Lozano is a medical surgical tech at University Hospital who's open about her own mental health.
I myself have been diagnosed with PTSD from an abusive marriage. I love to provide care for my patient, but there are some situations that are truly overwhelming.
Dr. Jennifer Gemmel knows overwhelming. She's the emergency department medical director at Methodist Hospital.
Sometimes the things that I see at work, those situations would come home with me.
But both women admit most of their colleagues never get help.
The fear that you're going to be considered weak, or the fear that you're going to be considered unable to do the job that you've trained for. And I'm positive that in most cases that's just absolutely not true, but it's getting over that perception that is a huge, huge hurdle.
That fact acknowledged this spring during the passage of the federal Dr. Lorna Breen Healthcare Provider Protection Act. It authorizes funding for mental health training and services for healthcare professionals, supports education campaigns to encourage healthier work conditions, and calls for research on causes and impact of physician burnout. Both Gemmel and Lozano want their colleagues to know struggling with mental health does not make you a worse provider.
It just makes you human. We are all human, and we're not made of stone.
Courtney Friedman, KSAT 12 News.
Our traffic authority report this afternoon, a familiar sight at 281 South, the ramp to Loop 410 West. You can see big traffic back up there. A lot of congestions. The good news in all this, not any other major traffic tie-ups to tell you about at this hour.
It has been 4 months since San Antonio was turned into that frozen tundra. Our gardens and our plants were hit hard, and a lot of them are not coming back. But in what may be the big comeback story of the year, Justin Horn explains that spring has brought an explosion of colors, growth, and recovery that's surprising just about everyone.
Some would say that February 2021 was a once-in-a-lifetime event. It's hard to argue that. And if these plants could talk, they'd likely agree.
It looked like we were really devastated, and some things did take a pretty hard hit.
But it seems South Texas Plant Life decided to live by the mantra, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Apparently, a lot stronger.
I've been here 30 years, and I've never seen the garden look this amazing.
Some things like a little tough love, if you will. Having chill hours is actually a good thing for a lot of plants.
That's a fact. But this kind of cold was uncharted territory for South Texas.
It's been a fun experiment just to, as a gardener, come out and see, what has survived. Okay, what are the superstars?
That list is surprisingly long. And to be clear, the impressive resurgence has been a culmination of well-timed weather events.
After it warmed up, we got these spring rains, and things just exploded.
Some plants are really showing right now, like roses and these firecracker bushes, which put out these bright pink blooms.
I've been really impressed with the Esperanzas too.
Our patience paid off, but all of this growth and color could be fleeting. Root systems that withstood a load of stress in February will now have to face a hot summer.
Mulch goes a very long way in our Texas heat, so giving it that little bit of insulation, at least 2 to 3 inches of mulch, is really going to keep that root temperature down.
Justin Horn, KSAT 12 News.
I don't think I've ever paid attention to my plants more than after that storm in February.
That's true. And now we're worried about them because of all the heat.
Oh, for a whole nother reason.
Yeah, but luckily we had a really good spring for them. And I'm pretty sure I can speak for a lot of folks that, after that freeze, you looked at your front of your house, you just thought everything's gone.
Yep.
Right? You had patience, gave it time. We had some that we thought were toast, and I was lazy about actually pulling them out of the ground. Well, they came back. See? It pays to just wait on it, honey. I'm just waiting on it.
Can you call those plants Lazy Adams now?
Yeah, well, I don't know what they're called. So, sure, why not? My wife will. 71 this morning, then we topped out at 93, which is exactly average for this time of year. Yeah, it's warm out there. It's typical June heat. We're just not all that used to it because we were pretty spoiled in May with that active weather pattern, a lot of rain, and not much heat. And even to start June, it wasn't very hot. This is our first 2-week stretch of temperatures in the 90s this evening. Quiet, mostly clear, warm, a little muggy out there. A little bit of activity on the radar. We'll look at that. Track that tropical moisture that's likely to turn into a weak system in the Gulf. We'll talk about that and where the rain's likely to go with it coming up.
Skin cancer is obviously still a possibility, but I'm not really scared.
Is summer for good times and tan lines, but how much do you really know about being out in the sun? What you need to know about sunscreen. Next at 6.
News around Texas now more than 10 years after her disappearance. An arrest has been made in the cold case murder of a West Texas girl. 36-year-old Sean Adkins arrested and charged this week for the murder of 13-year-old Haley Dunn. Dunn was last seen in Mitchell County between Abilene and Midland in December 2010. Her remains were found in Scurry County, one county to the north. According to investigators, Adkins, who was Dunn's mother's boyfriend at the time, was always a suspect in this case, but there'd not been enough evidence to arrest him. But DNA samples taken Sunday led to that arrest. Adkins now being held on a $2 million bond.
As we get our Fiesta hats and medals lined up for Fiesta, don't forget the sunscreen as well. It's going to be hot, and the sun's rays will be brutal on your skin. But did you know if margaritas are on the menu that lime juice can be an issue as well? Ursula Perry now with secrets about sunscreen that you should know.
From beach days to just running errands, we all do things we're not supposed to do out in the sun. For example, dermatologists say you should be wearing sunscreen every day you'll be outside, regardless of how long.
I don't use sunscreen. When I come here on purpose and set my chair up, I always have it with me.
And I put it on every morning.
And bigger isn't always better. The FDA has called any SPF that is 50 or higher inherently misleading, citing that SPF 100 only blocks 1% more UVB rays than SPF 50. Unfortunately, sunscreen is not cancer prevention in a bottle.
This doesn't substitute an evaluation by a dermatologist.
The National Cancer Institute reports people who solely rely on sunscreen are actually more likely to get sunburns and damaged by invisible UVA rays than those who also cover up.
We do wear hats and we do sit under umbrellas. We're out in the sun every day, and it's don't want to get skin cancer. Yeah.
UVA rays that penetrate much deeper into the skin, causing free radicals, can damage skin and even speed up aging. Dermatologists advise looking for a product that has zinc oxide or higher UVA protection.
As for that Fiesta margarita connection, well, apparently lime juice and the sun on your skin can create a painful reaction called margarita dermatitis. Another weird fact, when you get a sunburn, that actually is mutating your DNA. And finally, check your sunscreen for anti-aging compounds. Apparently, one called retinol palmitate is actually linked to certain skin cancers, the exact opposite of what you're trying to accomplish. Ursula Perry, KSAT 12 News.
And part of the trick right now is sunscreen plus mosquito repellent.
Yes.
It's a delicate combination.
Very important. Now, if you look between the cars, all right, that's a parking garage at Market Square. Right in between, you get the You get to see all the people. It's not the parking garage. It's actually behind
casino, I
some of the
believe it.
shops there. Yeah, and you see Market Square. Very happening tonight, even though it's very warm outside. They're getting ready for Fiesta as well, as you see all the booths getting set up.
Yeah, a lot of people going down there, getting all their Fiesta gear, ready to go.
It's time to party.
Yeah, it is.
And you know what? It's time for Fiesta hair, Myra. Yes, it is.
Oh, Monday?
You know what? I saw
tomorrow.
Monday.
Monday.
Tomorrow.
River Parade is on Monday. I
Tomorrow.
saw you have a bit of a rain chance in there for Monday,
Tomorrow.
but Fiesta hair doesn't matter.
He wants Fiesta here tomorrow. Can you hear him?
I've heard that.
All I ask for are federal holidays, birthdays, and Fiesta, of course. That's when we want the Myra Fiesta.
By the way, I saw Fiesta hair on Saturday.
Oh, you did? You got
We saw
special
Fiesta
treats.
hair on Saturday,
Oh.
also known as weekend hair, to my husband.
Yeah, to your family, it's just Myra's hair. Awesome, I love it. Quiet radar this evening. A little muggy out there, of course, so if you want, you can let your Fiesta hair, just let it go. Tracking Gulf moisture. We're watching that moisture in the southern Gulf of Mexico as it pushes northward and likely to dump some heavy rainfall along parts of the Gulf Coast. We'll talk more about that, and of course, we're staying hot outside, but pretty close to average for this time of year. We're just not all that used to it because late April and May didn't really ease us into it. It was below average and unseasonably cool, and then bam, here it is, back to normal. All right, take a look at the radar. A little bit of activity down there closer to the Gulf Coast, Victoria, Goliad counties. And that's where it's confined to. We had a few little pop-up showers in Valverde County and some across the Rio Grande in Mexico, but that's it. We don't expect a whole lot more to really develop here. Even our cumulus clouds are having a tough time really developing and growing vertically out there today. Big Blue H, upper level high over the Four Corners, Intermountain West. That's where the heat is. Record high temperatures throughout a good portion of the western third of the United States, especially in and around parts of the Rocky Mountains. I mentioned at 5, Salt Lake City had their highest June temperature ever recorded of 107 degrees just yesterday. That's where the heat is. That upper level high will break down in the days ahead. And actually what we're watching here is some thunderstorm activity, Bay of Campeche, Yucatan Peninsula, parts of the southern Gulf of Mexico here. We've been talking about this for a few days, something we're still watching as this is going to be pushing northward. And as it does move northward over the next couple of days, especially into tomorrow, it's likely to get a little center of circulation, a little spin to it, and develop into a tropical depression, maybe even a low-end tropical storm. So here's our forecast for it, and still anticipating the rain to stay east of us. This is basically just going to be a big rainmaker. Even if it gets a name, doesn't matter. It's still just going to be a big rainmaker for parts of the Gulf Coast, and we're thinking that's going to be the Louisiana coastline and then even up into parts of Mississippi as well. But we should stay on the dry side. Friday, Saturday, when it's affecting folks to the east of us, mainly Louisiana, we're likely to stay on the dry and sunny side. So that forecast is still on track, and that's what we're expecting with that moisture. Still some storm chances, though, in our future, though. Completely separate. We'll see a little shift in our weather pattern by early next week, and that would favor some thunderstorm development at some point Monday night or into Tuesday. Even a weak cool front could drop in and help trigger some showers and thunderstorms. So that's really our next focal point here and what we're watching for our storm chances. Otherwise, quiet basically tomorrow through the weekend. 92 right now. Dew point is 66. That's what gives you Fiesta hair right there. That dew point, that's the key, the mugginess in the air. Temperatures now, we're mostly in the 90s across Texas. Del Rio, an exception, right at 100 degrees. Victoria, you can tell, just got clipped by a shower, 88 degrees, even an outflow boundary. 92 Hondo and 92 in Kerrville. Let's talk about tomorrow morning. Temperatures low 70s for most of us, even some upper 60s in the hill country. Kerrville 68, meanwhile 73 in San Antonio. Then by the afternoon, we make it back into the 90s. We're just going to keep doing this all over again. Past couple of days, 96. Today was 93. We'll be in the mid-90s again tomorrow. But of course, a few degrees warmer in the typically warmer spots south and west of San Antonio. Stone Oak about 94. New Braunfels up to 95. Von Ormy 94 and Bernie 92 for your high temperature tomorrow. Otherwise, a decent amount of sunshine, maybe an isolated stray pop-up shower in the afternoon, but we think those will be very few and far between. Closer to a 10% chance. If you get along the Gulf Coast, I'd give it a 20% chance, but for most of us, a 10% chance. And then we get all the way into the weekend, few degrees warmer, 97. However, we're in a pattern where our afternoon dew points will actually drop off a little bit more. So that's going to give us a little bit of a break from that humidity. It's early next week when we see those thunderstorm chances really back in the picture.
All right, thanks, Adam. I called Mi Tierra by the wrong name earlier, and as I tell my 4-year-old, that was very silly, so I'm correcting myself.
That was very silly.
Mi Cocina.
Yeah, Mi Tierra.
Mi Tierra. Sorry, everybody.
La Margarita's down there, too. It could be that one.
True.
I'm sure there's somebody I'm forgetting. All right. Larry's very intrigued by this, naming
Clearly,
Market Square restaurants.
We're in
All
the
right.
mood for some
Loving
Mexican food, but sports first.
Is this guy the future of the Minnesota Vikings?
I truly believe Kellen Mond is. I mean, he can run. He's got a strong arm. He's working on his accuracy. He is a fine young quarterback. And Kellen Mond put pen to paper, signing his rookie deal. That's got to be such an awesome feeling. And Judson wide receiver Anthony Evans is blazing his own path. Coming up.
Pro football coverage, powered by Davis Law Firm.
Minnesota Vikings quarterback Kellen Mond signed his rookie contract Tuesday. A reported 4-year deal worth $5.223 million, including a signing bonus of $1.158 million. Mond was taken with the 66th overall pick in the 3rd round during the 2021 NFL Draft. The Reagan Rattler took part in off-season workouts under an injury protection agreement. Vikings team reporter Eric Smith says Mond had a solid performance in minicamp today, firing a pair of touchdowns when the Vikings offense were close to the end zone. The Vikings are scheduled to hold their final minicamp practice tomorrow. Players and coaches will then get a break before training camp begins in late July. Judson wide receiver Anthony Evans is on the rise thanks to his elite speed and attending summer football camps. When he goes to camps, he says he's there to work on his craft, to get offers and gain exposure. The junior wideout is turning heads this summer and currently holds 9 offers, which include UTSA, Arkansas, Arkansas State, Iowa State, and TCU, which was his first Big 12 offer. He's a 2020 All-District wide receiver and the 200-meter district champion in track. And he says running track helps to make him a better football player.
Like I said, explosiveness, coming in and out of a break, being that I'm a receiver, it helps a lot. The strength in my legs, the pushing off, track and football, I feel like every football player should do track. It helps tremendously.
Earlier this month, Evans tweeted a video of himself going up against a DB during his TCU visit. That clip has nearly 25,000 views. It shows his explosiveness, footwork, and hands. So we asked him to walk us through that nasty play.
I'm fast, so I had ran 2 go routes before that, and I had caught it. So I was knowing the corners were talking about he's fast, he's running a go route. So I was like, I'm finna hit him with my specialty. I set it up every time. So I was running, I hit like a little drag, stop. I was looking at him, and he was like finna come down, so I was like, oh yeah, I got him. And then I was running. I ran again, coming out to stop, and then I ran a comeback, and then it killed him. He was just like fell, did everything. I was like, wow.
DB didn't know what hit him. Evans, who ran a 4.32 40, said he's using this summer to gain some weight. Sunday was an amazing day for Seattle Storm rookie guard Kiana Williams. She graduated from Stanford and scored her first career WNBA points all in one day. Sunday at Connecticut, she drained a 3-pointer and drew a foul for her first pro hoop. She sank the free throw for a 4-point play. Now, she couldn't make it to Stanford for graduation because she was on the other side of the country with her team at that game. So she marked the occasion before tip-off by posing courtside with a cap and stole over her jersey.
Yeah, it was a great day. I had a lot of emotions. Obviously, I was a little sad that I couldn't, go to in-person graduation. But, there's no place I would have rather have been than with my team with Seattle Storm. So, yeah, it's crazy how everything, works out, falls into place. I felt like I was officially closing one door and opening the new one all on the same day. But it was a great feeling.
Storm drafted Kiana with the 18th overall pick in the 2021 WNBA draft. 2 months ago, Seattle's a league best 11-2 and a perfect 6-0 on the road. And check it out, Spurs guard Derek White stopped by Wolf Stadium last night to take in the Missions game. The club posted some pics of White hanging out around the stadium, a 5-3 Missions victory. guys.
Maybe it's a good luck charm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Maybe the Puffy Taco has some competition there for good luck charms for the missions.
Okay.
Even Larry telling us to move on. Our KSAT Q&A is up next. The story of San Antonio and the story of the African American community are the stories that they want to tell, but they need some help doing that. So the San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum is hosting an event in the next couple of days, the Juneteenth History Harvest, to get more community stories involved in San Antonio history. To talk about that, we have Heather Williams, who is the program director for SACAM for short. Heather, thanks for being with us here this evening. First, just talk about this event, the Juneteenth History Harvest. What's involved in that, and what are you all looking for?
Yes, thank you, first of all, for having us. Thank you, Myra and Steve. SACAM's mission is to collect, preserve, and share the cultural heritage of African Americans in the San Antonio region. So we're very, very fortunate to be in a position right now where we are inviting and engaging the community members to come in and tell us their family history, their family stories. And that will be this weekend, starting Friday, June 18th, and Saturday, June 19th, from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. at Comanche Park.
What should people expect if they want to share these stories? What's the process?
Yes, well, we are encouraging them to, if they can, go ahead and contact us in order to set up an appointment so that we'll know we'll have a spot for them so that they won't have to wait. But we encourage people to stop by as well. So, and involved in what's involved in contacting us, let's go ahead and give the phone number. First of all, it's 210-724-3350. And that is to set up the appointment. But again, we encourage people to just stop by as well. What they can expect when they get there is we've got a team, our archivist and our community curator, along with some other volunteers, will be there in order to collect their stories.
We had some information up there while you were talking about some of the things that you all are looking for. Church bulletins, programs people have collected over the years, newspaper clippings, photos. Are you looking for anything from a certain time period, or what should people be digging through at home right now to find out if they have something that they can contribute?
Yes, ma'am. Actually, anything and everything, because daily we are creating history. So if you have anything dating back, generations, or, if it was something from 30, 40, 50 years ago, or even 10 years ago, we are equipped to document and scan on site there at Comanche Park. So you won't have to surrender your information to us. We will scan it on site and then return it right back to you.
And also, if you call that number, I'm guessing, 210-724-3350, you can set up an appointment to go into a sound booth and answer questions and talk about the history and what's been passed down over ages.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Yes. And that's something that we want to make sure that we are able and equipped to preserve, because, our stories are deserving of being told, and who better to tell the story but those who have lived it.
The idea of collecting things directly from the community, from people who, thought whatever that piece was that they have saved over the years was significant, was important. And then, of course, the idea of letting someone tell their personal stories through their own voice, stepping into an audio booth. I think that is so fascinating, just hearing directly from San Antonians. So how key is that to SACAM and what you all do and the history that you're trying to preserve?
Well, it's tantamount. Actually, the whole premise of SACAM getting started is we were intentional in being a digital archive of history. So that's pretty much how the whole entity started back in 2017. Here recently, we've started curating a lot of artifacts and documents, 3D items, if you will, from the community. And those have helped shape and those have helped tell the story.
Talk more about SACAM and why you started and what the ultimate goal is for the organization.
Yes. Okay. So SACAM, that's short, or actually that's the acronym for San Antonio African American Community Archive and Museum. So again, the basis is its purpose is to be an archive where items are documented and preserved. So we wanted to make sure that the information would be available to the public digitally. So that's what we've done over the course of the last few years. Originally, the archive was stored at the University of North Carolina, but here recently, those records have been transferred locally to Texas A&M, San Antonio. And we're very, very happy and fortunate to have them as partners.
So Heather, this wasn't done before 2017?
No, it was done on an individual basis. I would imagine that there were people that had, that had been collecting, from either their own past or friends, family members, things of that nature. But as a community, no, it had not been done prior to SACAM.
So having all of these things archived digitally, really, I would imagine, it expands the access for so many people in a way. So talk about how people can access that right now at home if they want to, and what they can find by looking through these digital archives.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so our website is sacam.org, and that's S3ACAM.org. And people will find, a cornucopia of information and history when they browse our website. It's literally a rabbit hole. You can go on there and find a lot of things that you never thought existed, really. Even I've, come to learn a lot of things about San Antonio history that I never knew, and I've been here for several years. So
it's wonderful to have that resource for this community, and of course you're looking to expand that with this Juneteenth History Harvest. We just showed more of the information about when and where that is. Comanche Park, June 18th and 19th, and the number again, if you want to make that appointment to be part of this, 210-724-3350. Heather Williams with SACAM, thanks so much for being with us.
Thank you both. Have a good evening.
You too. Good luck this weekend. We'll be right back.
We have some late breaking news to tell you about right now. The man accused of stabbing a woman at the Palladium movie theater in the Rim in handcuffs tonight. Andrew Pantaleon is charged with aggravated assault with a deadly weapon. San Antonio police say they believe the attack that happened on June 5th was random.
Yeah, they say Pantaleon turned himself in today. Police say numerous tips from the public helped investigators identify him as their sole suspect. That victim, by the way, out of the hospital, recovering. This is video that we just got into the KSAT 12 newsroom, and you can see he had nothing to say to cameras.
Let's take a look outside right now with live cam. Plenty of sunshine, 92 degrees out there right now. Heat still on as we gear up for Fiesta.
Are you going to wear your shorts tomorrow when we go to Fiesta?
I think so. Usually when it's in April, I don't really, because it kind of gets cool at night too. But yeah, I'm going to be rocking my chicken legs proudly.
Okay, that's what I wondered if you're going to,
and
maybe a preview to chicken on a stick.
I wish the rest of me was more stick-like. I can try. Sucking my gut as I do this here. All right, this evening. 92 degrees out there right now, and by 8 o'clock, still 90, 10 o'clock, 83. You get the idea. Just like the past several evenings, a few showers closer to the coastline right now. We do have some storm chances back in the forecast. We're going to talk about that pattern shift and the Gulf moisture we're watching that'll affect parts of the Gulf Coast this weekend. All that coming up.
All right, Fiesta tomorrow. These guys are going to be in shorts. I'd say a lot of people are too.
I'm still on the fence, but I think I'm going to wear shorts. If it's going to be 95 degrees.
Fiesta in June, shorts.
Out there roughly from 3 o'clock in the afternoon until 11 o'clock at night. Yeah, probably.
Shorts.
Instead of cascarones, we need some water balloons, right?
Yeah, that would be nice.
Pop. Oh, that would feel good. And that would make any confetti extra sticky on you, too, when you really do get hit with a cascarone. So let's take a look outside. Let's talk about the heat before we jump into anything else. Basically, today was like the past couple of days, temperatures into the 90s and even 100 in Del Rio. Here we go again. Right now we're 92, dew point is 66, so bit muggy out there, but remember last week at this time, our afternoon dew points were still in the mid 70s. So we're finally seeing that drier air mix down in the afternoon and a little more typical afternoon conditions where the heat index is only about 3 degrees higher than the actual air temperature. So air temps now, Uvalde, Rock Springs 91, along with Beeville, Cotulla 97, and Del Rio triple digits at 100. And really the lone 100-degree reading on this map is Del Rio. For the most part, we're in the 90s, Victoria at 88. The real heat is on even farther to the north and west of us. In the Rocky Mountains, the western third of the U.S., up the plains as well. North Platte's hotter than us at 102. I mentioned it earlier, last half hour, I'm going to mention it again. Salt Lake City, they had their hottest June temperature ever recorded of 107 yesterday. And guess what? Big Blue H sitting right overhead the western United States. So we're removed from it a little bit. We've got this northerly flow aloft, that upper level ridge, that high, the heat high basically. It's going to be breaking down a bit once we get through the weekend, and that's going to put a shift in our weather pattern and introduce some storm chances. And we've been watching this area of moisture or tropical moisture, tropical thunderstorms in the southern Gulf for several days now. And of course, we're keeping an eye on it as it's going to start drifting northward as we get into tomorrow. Start drifting northward. Odds favor it becoming a tropical depression, maybe a low-end tropical storm. There's a chance for that as well. It doesn't matter what it's called and what title it has. Basically, it's going to bring a lot of rain to parts of the Gulf coastline. Indications now are still that it's going to be east of our area and mainly dumping that heavy rain in Louisiana and parts of Mississippi. So we still are anticipating to be on the dry side of this. As for rainfall accumulations, look here, nothing. But once you get to New Orleans, Biloxi area, you can see 5 to 8 inches of rain. So some flash flooding, of course, an issue there with that system. As for tomorrow, a 10% chance around town. That's what we're looking at. Along the Gulf Coast, maybe a 20% chance, but overall another quiet day. A lot of sunshine, 73 in the morning, 95 by the afternoon. A little bit of an easterly wind at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Really not enough to circulate the air a whole lot, but better than nothing, at least some air movement. We get to Eagle Pass 96 tomorrow afternoon, along with Pleasanton, Canyon Lake up to 94, Beeville 94, Castroville 95. Very similar temperature map tomorrow as to what we've had the past couple of days. Converse 94, New Braunfels about 95 for the high. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, no big changes, just a few degrees warmer. Saturday and Sunday, we'll see high temperatures probably closer to 97. By the way, Sunday evening, summer solstice at 10:31 p.m. And then next week, I mentioned that pattern shift. We're actually expecting a little cool front to drop southward and maybe even stall right overhead. So that would favor some thunderstorm development at some point Monday night, or into Tuesday. That's really our next focal point for the chance of storms.
Fiesta hair, it's fine. No big deal.
Yeah.
In case you missed it, coming up next.
Here's today's In Case You Missed It.
Justice for baby James. That is what the family of James Charez were protesting this morning outside the Bexar County Courthouse.
This gathering held as Delaney Charez, James's mother, is set to have a hearing today and could possibly be released.
Marisol Benavides Gomez, James's great aunt, told us this morning that a family member got a call recently from Delaney's attorney saying how she could be released in the coming weeks.
Her silence has shown me no other reason to believe that she's guilty. And for her to have the opportunity to walk with me and you next to each other, you know, that's just disgusting. I'm not saying that I'm wishing her ill will, but she is safer in there than she is out here.
Indicted ex-constable Michelle Barrientos Vela no longer facing a charge of felony perjury. Bexar County prosecutors dismissed the charge late last month. She's still, though, facing charges of tampering with evidence and official oppression.
We now know the name of the man killed at a gas station on the city's northwest side earlier this month. The Bexar County Medical Examiner's Office identifying him as 35-year-old Javier Jesus Gomez. He died after being shot at a gas station in the 5400 block of Grissom Road near Loop 410 and Culebra Road.
Serving San Antonio's homeless community, the Salvation Army partnering up with the accounting firm Slattery Perkins Ramirez today for a giving challenge.
I didn't want to just do food. I kind of wanted to give them something extra. So I had a lot of people and friends in the neighborhood donate clothing.
Jordan hopes today's event will have a domino effect and encourage other companies to do the same.
Before we go, we have an update on that deadly accident on the southwest side. Police are telling us that there were no actual witnesses to when this accident happened. Somebody actually came upon the accident long after it happened and called 911. We're told it involves an SUV that you see there and a car. The two people in the SUV have minor injuries. The two people in the car, a man and a woman, were killed in this crash. It was also a man and a woman in the SUV that were injured. Again, it gives us this is not a well-populated area. 7,000 block of Old Pearsall Road. 2 people killed, 2 people injured.
We're also continuing to follow that late breaking news we told you about earlier. A man arrested for that Palladium stabbing we've covered several weeks back. We'll have more information on that arrest coming up on the Night Beat.
We'll see you at 10.